So now we are going to create this block pink plant that's had errors for like the whole of the first part, because obviously we hadn't created it. So what we need to do is to highlight the error, click create class, finish, and it has all this. And now what we need to do to get all that code at the start is kind of like the lazy method, but if you want to see me code for 40 minutes and follow it, then tell me, but I don't think anyone wants to watch a 40-minute tutorial. So the easiest way to do it, which still works just as fine and it's not really cheating, is to find the file block crops. There we go, and we just go Control A, Control C, and then Control V into that block pink plant. Change the things that are errors, so such as the name needs to obviously match the class, and same here. Oh, not that, same here. But besides that, that's all the errors gone, so we can close this. And now we can get on to tweaking the bits we need to do to make this a block pink plant and not just a wheat crop. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to scroll down, and every different constructor or method you see, I'll just explain it briefly. But if it comes to one we need to edit, I'll edit it right there. So when we're on it. So we'll scroll down, we've got our first constructor, which is obviously needed, and it's just got saying blah 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 blah, normal stuff, what we need. You don't need to know about that really. Next thing, can't this plant grow on this block ID, saying it can grow on this block tilde ID, tilde field, sorry, which is fertile ground. Next thing is update tick, which I think is, as you can see, get growth rate is a keyword, which means, probably means on about telling it when to grow and stuff. Fertilize, saying that it can be fertilized, but we need to add some more code in another part of this episode in order for this to work. Get growth rate, so how fast it grows. And then we get to another one called get block text from inside the metadata, which we need to tweak. So what this is the constructor, which is actually an int, but I still call it constructor, that tells what each stage of the growth is. So part 1 is the texture, part 2 is what stage it is. So as you can see, it says here for the original code if part 2 equals 0, or it says it bigger than 0, but we're gonna delete all that and do our own code. Now what we need to do is to say, well, you know that numbers go from 0 to 7, so 0 being the first stage of growth, 1 being the second, 2 being the third, and so on, till we get to the number 7, which is the 8th stage, which is fully grown. So what we need to do is say what texture is given to each stage of growth. So the first one is obviously if par 2, so we need to put par 2 equals 0, so the first stage is 0. If we come to our modern school pink plant, we can see that the 0 stage, so the very first stage, was the texture of our pink plant crop. So we're going to say if par 2 equals 0, return this dot block indexing texture, which is this, which is our crop 0.png. And now what we need to do is to copy this one more time and change this if par 2 equals 0 to equals 1. And what we need to return is the int in our modern school class file that holds the texture for this next stage, which is crop 1. So we need to say return mod underscore pink plant dot crop 1. Put a semicolon. So that means that at the first stage it returns block indexing texture, which was crop 0.png. If it's at the second stage, which is given the number 1, then it returns this int, which has a texture of crop 1, which is the correct texture. So now what I've just done is I've copied this 6 more times and changed the par 2 equals to the next number 2, and then the int that corresponds to that, so 2 being crop 2, 3 being crop 3, and so on until we get to 7, which is crop 7. And as you can see, the constructor, or int, again I still got a constructor, has an error, which means which basically means we have to return something at the very end. So we could put else blah blah blah, but we don't have to put else, we can just put return, and then we put something like -1. So that will never be used because it will also have to have one of these textures, but that's just saying there's nothing going to be seen when we return. Yep. So if you carry on going down the code, we can see there's this thing called get render type, return 6, so it's just saying it's going to render as a crop, which is this unique code of 6. And then the next thing we need to tweak, which is a very tiny tweak, is this one called drop blockers item with chance. So it's saying the chance of, so you know when you destroy a few lines of wheat and sometimes it drops 2 wheat, sometimes it drops 1, sometimes it drops seeds, sometimes it doesn't drop any, sometimes it drops 3. This is just saying what's going to happen. And what we need to do is to, where it says here, entity item file 14 equals new entity item, we just go to the very end of that line where it says here, item seeds, and we want to take that out and put in our own seed, which is _pink plant dot pink plant seeds. So that's the next thing in our code tweaked. So we've got 2 more things here that we need to tweak, so I might as well do those in the same mini part of this video. But just to say what this is, quantity drop, just saying return 1, so it's just saying returns 1 on a normal time unless it's got this drop as block item as a chance thing applying to it. But anyway, here it says it's ID dropped, return par1 equals 7 item wheat. Now basically what this is here is, well, first I'll write the code for you. So we need to say return par1 equals 7. We need to change item wheat to what we want it to drop when it's fully grown, which is _pink plant dots pink plant crop, no, pink plant just by itself. Yes. Dots shifted index. Else return -1. Now what this code is, if I just put it in notations just to make it not apply, it's basically saying this: if par1 equals 7, let me just copy this, it just says here return this, else return -1. So that's basically what this code up here is saying. It's saying if par1 equals 7, return this. So if the the level of growth is 7, which is the fullest, the 8th stage, the last stage, then it drops that plant destroyed. Else it will just drop nothing. And we don't put in 0 because sometimes it drops stuff randomly, code glitch. But if you -1, it will never drop anything. But basically this condensed is this. So it's just saying, if I just remove this, put this back here, it's just saying return if, it's just saying if par1 equals 7, question mark is sort of like those curly brackets, and then pink plant dot shifted index, and then this here, the normal colon, is just saying else. So it was that else curly bracket thing, return -1. So that's basically what it says. And again, this ID pick thing, I'm not sure it does, but I still change it anyway. So as you can see, ID pick to seeds, so we just use our own pink plant seeds. And that's basically the whole of the block pink plant code done.